Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Z and
Professor P.
back for another segment of
Tip of the day.
Tip of the Day.
Tip of the day.
Dr. Z. What is our tip of the day for
Yeah.
everybody?
Yeah, so it's a great tip today. Allow your mission to move you into your destiny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Care to expand on that for our listeners?
It ties in really well with the title, which we had as in, and un.
What the what? What's that all about?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about inferiority, imposter,
Okay.
impossible, unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah. And against all those odds, to go from impossible belief to your possible reality.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How do we get there? Take it away.
Yeah, so I wanted to share a story. So I coach high achieving women, of which I am one.
Right. Yeah.
And this issue or story about imposter syndrome comes up fairly frequently.
Okay.
And so it's interesting. I had an experience as a forensic pathologist, so I often testify in cases as an expert witness. And sometimes I feel that imposter syndrome even before I take a case. But this one was really different, and it's still ongoing, so I can't really share much about it.
Right.
But I was surprised how much I was motivated and moved to actually be part of it and to testify as an expert witness. And I really wasn't so fearful. And it's funny because the defense attorney, he asked me, well, have you done any research in this area? And I was like, no. Have you published papers in this area? And I was like, no. Have you given scholarly lectures in this area? And I said, no. And, it's funny because then after it, I was like, oh, well, I probably would have been good, I guess, if I had. But then I thought about it. There's often times where I testify on an autopsy that I perform. Maybe it's my first time ever seeing a case like that.
Yeah.
And yet I still testify. And so it really dawned on me because so many of my clients, they're saying they feel like an imposter, or they're feeling this imposter syndrome, or they feel in like they're inferior, or that that somehow they got in, right? They got this role through no effort of their own. And they may have like stacks and stacks and stacks of accomplishments, but yet they focus so much on the area where they feel they're lacking. And so really what going through that experience showed me is that I was so passionate and I was so committed to the message that I wanted to be sure got out there.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it really made me start to think about values. And the things that I value, of course, as a knowledge and a doctor, I value like science and logic and research, right?
Right.
I hadn't done research in this area, but also, structure and processes. And the body is a process, and the body is a system. And, the nervous system, the circulatory system. And so the message that I wanted to bring forth was showcasing the science and the system.
Okay.
Yeah, and this point of view
sounds like that was your driver.
Yeah, and I didn't feel that point of view was being expressed.
Okay.
And so I saw a gap. Right? We talk about, being in the gap, and I got in the gap, and I was like, I want to fill this gap.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. And so going back to our tip of the day about allowing your mission to move you into your destiny, my mission drove me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll even like if I'm, coaching a client, I'll say, think about, Dr. Martin Luther King or Gandhi. They were so committed to their
Yeah.
mission. They gave their all. I just can't
Yeah.
imagine like, Dr. King like, oh, I don't know if I'm a really good speaker or not. No, he's like, I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
message is so important and so valuable to me. It's got to get out there. And
Yeah.
if not me, looking for who's going to do it, I'll stand in the gap. Yeah.
So, what do you think for our listeners that are, I'm feeling incapable? I feel like this is an impossible thing.
Mhm. I would just go back to the values, and we often talk about values.
Mm-hmm.
I was trained as a coach in bank, and we have these cards,
Mm-hmm.
and so I like the simplicity of it. So there's a blueprint card here that talks about structure and
Okay.
stability and systems, and so I know that my life works better
Mm-hmm.
when I'm operating in those blueprint
Mm-hmm.
aspects. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my clients too, it's so interesting. Many of them have blueprint tendencies at work where they're
Mm-hmm.
successful, but then when it comes to eating, and their food,
Mm-hmm.
they may create a food protocol, but then we'll notice they don't follow it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you abandoning your friend? I said, the plan is your friend. Yeah. And so it feels different.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about emotions and feelings, and we know this emotion of fear can cause us to pull back, right?
Yeah.
But yet we're drawn and we are, we lean forward when it's something that we're passionate about, that we
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
that feeling of love. Love gives us courage. And so finding that thing that you love and allowing that to move you forward into the courage to step into the role that you applied for.
Yeah.
There was already something inside of you that made you even apply for that promotion or that
Mm-hmm.
new job or that new position that now you're like, no, I'm an imposter.
I can't do
I
it.
can't do it. Yeah. So really just leaning into your
Mhm.
love and leaning into your mission and your purpose and allow your core values to guide you through into that.
Yeah, so talk about, give us a hardcore example here, like when you became and decided to get into coaching and you had that imposter syndrome thoughts, but you're like, the heck with it, I'm going forward. Give us a little insight into what, your drivers were, and, you talked about values, and I'm sure that spurred a lot of it on, but just give us a quick idea of how the process went for you, thinking about being a coach and then going through the process. You started out losing weight, you got, went to the life school and all that, and just talk us through all that.
The life coach school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's so interesting because like I said, I am a high achieving woman, right?
Yeah.
And so I coach
Yeah.
high achieving women. I had my own weight loss journey.
Right.
And now that I'm in maintenance, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things that you said is lifelong learner.
Yeah.
So this knowledge card, the number one value here is learning, so being a lifelong learner. And for me, so I'm a forensic pathologist, right? So I was doing a lot of autopsies, right? I always see all my
Mm-hmm.
patients were dead.
Yeah.
But when I was really motivated to become a coach around the time in around 2017, when we had a lot of opioid overdose
Yeah.
deaths, a lot of young people, some teenagers, people in their 20s. And I remember talking to one of the my assistants during the autopsy, and I was like, man, when I was 21, I think I had just graduated college. I was getting ready to go into medical school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had so much stuff I wanted to do, I was planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about drugs.
Yeah.
And then she herself, when she was 21, she was kind of on her own and she was paying for her car that could get her to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was like our focus was just so much towards our future, the future that we wanted to create for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And so it just started me thinking, wow, you know, what is it about the drugs that becomes your future,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I really felt badly for the parents, because many times the parents either didn't know that their child was using drugs, or their parents had their own story about drug and alcohol addiction, and so then they caused them to not want to share that, because they were there was a lot of shame around
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
But yet it was sad, because they were the best people probably to share that experience
Hmm.
that they had gone through, and that could have been more opportunities for connection. Right, here's the other, that value of relationship, nurturing and really cultivating that relationship.
Hmm.
And so that was one of my drivers too, was to have more of a relationship, community, um, significance, and really get more involved with what was happening, like in among the living.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really that's what kind of drove me, even though it was definitely stepping outside of my comfort zone. Like I said, as a pathologist, even when I did hospital pathology, sometimes we were in the basement, or in the
Mm.
back, people never saw us, never really interacted much with the patients. But yet that was something that I wanted. I wanted more interaction with people, and I felt that I could maybe help people who maybe weren't able to really see a future for themselves, because maybe it was clouded by shame and guilt and inferiority and all of these things. It's one thing with imposter syndrome, it really doesn't allow you to enjoy the work.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
many of the women that I coach with, they love their work,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yet that feeling of inferiority and self doubt and not being good enough doesn't really allow them to experience that for
Hmm.
themselves.
So, what are some tips you can give the listeners that they can, what are their takeaways going to be so that they can walk away from this podcast and go, ooh, that was really good. I got to remember to incorporate that.
Yeah, well, one thing that we always talk about is feeling your emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
don't hide from them, especially as a doctor. The number
Mm.
one, anybody in healthcare really, the number one thought is always, you got to learn how to suppress your feelings. Don't
Mm-hmm.
show your feelings, and because you got to be strong, right? You got
Right.
to be strong.
Right.
And so there's that mentality, and then it's reinforced about being strong, being in control. And so, really taking a step back and just sitting with your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, we advocate processing your emotions, like really feeling where it is in your body. Meditation, people that do meditation or yoga, they're often those practices allow you to really get in touch with your body and to get in touch with what's happening inside, because there's so much wisdom in our emotions. And then also, the flip side of that is sometimes we don't like the negative emotions, like our first instinctual reaction.
Mm-hmm.
The motivational trait is to seek pleasure and avoid pain, and
Mm-hmm.
look for making things as easy as possible for yourself. But really, when you lean into those negative emotions,
Mm-hmm.
there's a value on the other side of that. I really believe that. And so, even leaning into that imposter syndrome, it allowed me to see what that deeper value was that was actually drawing me into that desire to challenge myself in that way.
Okay.
And then, through sitting with that uncomfortable feeling of feeling like an imposter, feeling like, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
it was actually acting as a beacon, a light, a lighthouse, showing me what was really, truly most important to me. So that's the thing with coaching. All of our answers are inside of ourselves,
Right. Right. Looking
and
within.
looking
Yeah.
within. And too often we're looking outside of ourselves, looking for answers from this person or that person because of what they did and what they did. But really, what it is just allowing ourselves to clear that fog,
Yeah.
to clear that mist, so that we can get a better picture of what truly is most important to us. And our body has that information for us, and our emotions. We can use that to guide us towards our values. And then our values then is what we can use to guide us towards goal setting,
Mm-hmm.
and even what is our purpose, what is our mission, what is our passion, and
Mm.
what is our obsession.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of coming up with the drivers,
Yeah.
right? So you feel that fear. So if you're sitting with your emotions and you're like, maybe you're like Dr. Z here, who, when it was her time to decide about becoming a doctor, she's like, oh, gee, maybe, you feel that fear. I don't know. Am I, and if you're struggling with some of that imposter syndrome, am I worthy enough for this? Am I good enough? Do I have do I have the grades? Do I have the ability? Is to sit with that, feel it, and then say, you know what? Make your decision and say, you know what? I'm going to damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead here. I'm going to move forward with this and let the chips fall where they are. It's feeling that fear. It's a classic saying, feel the fear, but go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at some of the things that, are going to happen in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then sometimes I'll even mention the 12 steps, but that's probably a different
Yeah,
different
that's
tip of the
another.
day.
Yeah, that's for another time.
That's for another time. But really, it starts with acceptance.
Okay. Wow. Lot to unpack there. There's plenty more. We could go on and on about this,
Yeah.
but we're going to leave it there for today.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. I have such, even talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
I have such a sense of like peace, and that this was the right thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Powerful. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
And listening.
Right.
Watching and listening if you see the video or you're listening to the podcast.
And as always, thank you in advance.
Just thinking and growing and learning and knowing and thinking and growing and learning and knowing. Yeah. Just thinking and growing and learning and knowing and thinking and growing and learning and knowing. Yeah. Yeah, we're thinking and growing and learning and knowing and thinking and growing and learning and knowing. Yeah. We're thinking and growing and learning and knowing and thinking and growing and learning and knowing. Yeah. We're thinking and growing